Thank you for coming back on the show. I want to welcome back University of South Carolina's president, Harris Pastides.
Always great to be with you, WUSC. Don't get to tune in as often as I'd like, but always enjoy being on the show.
Well, thank you. This is our third time.
Yes.
And we've had some great interviews in the past. So I want to start off, I want to know what you've been up to. You've been having a pretty eventful past few weeks, haven't you?
Yeah, I have. 2 weeks ago, I started fulfilling my role as the NCAA Division I board chair. I went to the men's Final Four.
How was that?
Someone's got to do it, right?
Yeah, that's such a hard job.
And I saw two great regional games, and then the championship game where Duke beat Wisconsin in a thriller.
Yeah.
I went over to Tampa to watch the Gamecocks, of course, Dawn Staley and the women's basketball team come 1 point short of the championship game. And incredible game. They'll be back next year. And then I went to Panama, the country of Panama, where President Obama and a lot of world leaders, some of your listeners might know that Raul Castro was there as well. And I was there part of a delegation of university presidents talking about higher ed in North and South America. So it's been a busy time.
Yeah, sounds it. Well, let's start from the beginning with that. So you were at the Final Four. Tell me what you thought about those games, because a bit of a surprise. Kentucky wasn't there.
Well, yeah, Kentucky was in the first regional, and I'm a SEC guy, so I was a Kentucky fan.
Yeah.
Hard as it might be to root for somebody.
Big Blue.
Yeah, for Big Blue. And let me tell you, when they got bumped from the tournament, the city kind of emptied out. There were so many Kentucky fans in Indianapolis.
I bet.
And they were bummed, but Wisconsin took it to them, but then they met their fate with Duke.
That was an incredible series of games.
Yeah.
You know? And then also with the women's Final Four, South Carolina playing in their first Final Four. Played very well, I think. But I think the experience in Notre Dame was just too hard to hold off for the whole game, because they really dug themselves in a hole, you know?
Hard to know, but let me back up a little bit and say all of Tampa, where the games were played, were decked out, the city was, with the Final Four teams. So you'd walk around the city and see the Gamecock logo, so that was a thrill. And then, we took a hard hit from them in the first half, went down by double digits, and then came back a little bit by halftime, took another hit early in the second half, and then took the lead with a couple of minutes left. And I know Gamecock Nation, at that point saw us going all the way, but it wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, and it's interesting how that game just played out, but I think it laid some good groundwork for next year, But then also Panama, that was pretty crazy. President Obama was there, Castro was there.
Yes.
So tell me what that was like, because you're really representing South Carolina far.
Well, yeah, I was one of a couple of dozen presidents invited to go from great universities in North America to meet with our counterparts in the Caribbean area and South America, of course, Canada, Mexico too. And, it was great. I mean, USC is a global university. We're not satisfied being the best in the Midlands or, an important in the state, because we're a global university, and that's what a president does. He wears his pin and he waves the flag a little bit and makes new friends and brags on his university.
And that's what we're proud about. So we love how you representing us down there. So another big sports semester for the University of South Carolina. Like I said, women's basketball, making to the Final Four. And then we have a lot of other things going on. But let's start with women's basketball. What do you think them making it so far into the Final Four, what do you think that really does for not just the women's program, but more the school itself?
Well, it spreads the reputation of the school. Somebody recently sent me the front page of the Philadelphia Inquirer with a big spread on Dawn Staley and how far she's gone.
Wow.
So people are reading that, and they knew about Dawn from Philly, and then they see the Gamecocks right on the front page of a world-class paper.
Yeah.
And then
crazy.
Beyond that, of course, the recruitment. So the day after the loss, Dawn goes out and she's traveling around the country recruiting blue chip players, we hope, to come and play for us. So we'll be back, as we said.
I hope so. Now, we've had a lot of other things going on. Our men's tennis team is getting ready to go to the going to the NCAA tournament. They have SEC coming up, and then we're also hosting the SEC tournament for the women's from the women's side. Then also our men's and women's golf teams are top 10 ranked, and that's crazy.
It is, and I forgot to tell you, when I came back from Panama, I woke up early and went to the Masters yesterday with Coach Bill McDonald of the men's golf team.
How was that?
Oh, amazing. His insights about, where to put the ball and what was going to happen. But yeah, to be in the top 10, and you didn't mention equestrian.
Equestrian doing very well.
Very, very well. And
baseball also doing very well.
Yeah. Softball doing well. So someone asked me the other day if there's something about the water in Colombia that's making everybody so successful. But isn't it great? You're young, of course. Your listeners are young. But if you talk to people my age, they say we can never remember a time, ever, in the history of the university where so many teams were doing so well.
That's crazy, and I've spoken to a lot of people, especially a lot of the athletes who've been here right now or graduated recently, and they're saying, this generation is really creating, a new tide for a new platform for Gamecocks athletics, because it's really crazy how every semester we have multiple teams ranked, and it's so great. Now, like you said, you're the chairman of the board of directors right now for the NCAA. That's must be pretty exciting. And there's a great article written by, I think it was CBS Sports, about with paying student athletes. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that and get your opinion, along with the Ed O'Bannon case that's being appealed right now. So if after this, if all this goes in the Ed O'Bannon's way, it could end up where student athletes who play basketball and football could be paid $5,000 a year and stuff like that. So I want to get your opinion. What do you think that student athletes should be paid?
Well, a paycheck isn't what students are here to receive, but we're all for increasing the grant that we pay our athletes. The one problem with the O'Bannon case is that the plaintiffs were only interested in football and men's basketball players. They could care less about women's basketball or all the other great sports you mentioned. So what we're doing at USC is increasing the value of the full scholarship by not all the way up to $5,000, but close to $5,000 extra dollars a year.
Wow. That'll
pay for things like gas and date money, if we call it that. Anyone ever go on a date anymore? I don't think dating is that
I'll remember to date an athlete now.
Yeah, they'll have a little extra money.
Yeah.
There you go. And so there are things that we should be doing better for our student athletes, but the reform that we've brought to the NCAA allows us to do that, not under the force of a judicial order, but because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, and I think that's interesting. Well, I was going to ask you, do you think it's fair to just give basketball and football players money? Because those are traditionally the money sports. Here at South Carolina, it's a little different because our baseball team pulls in a lot of revenue. And then you have like our women's soccer team and also our men's soccer team, but really our women's soccer team leading the nation in season ticket sales. So I was wondering, do you think it should be just football and basketball, or do you think it should be
it should be for everybody.
I agree.
Absolutely for everybody. And now, it could be prorated, so if you're a baseball player and you get a half scholarship or a quarter of a scholarship, you ought to get a half or a quarter of the extra money that's being provided.
Makes sense.
But we also want to pay for insurance. So if you remember Jadeveon Clowney, what number did he wear?
I think it was 7.
7.
I think it was.
It was 7. It was 7. And, he came back for his junior year, possibly risking a catastrophic injury.
Yeah.
He had to pay for insurance. For that was a lot of money. We think the universities ought to be able to pay for that. Other football players, Marcus Lattimore, do you remember him? What number did he wear?
He was here before me, so I actually don't remember his number.
Oh, number 21.
21, okay.
One of the all-time greats. Now, he did go on and get drafted by the 49ers for a while, but let's say he never got drafted. Let's say he sustained a catastrophic ACL injury. He had 2 of them, actually. We ought to have been able to provide him with insurance and lifetime medical monitoring as well to make sure that he invested so much in us that we could do better for him, too.
I think that's definitely interesting. I think with people like that, it makes sense. And I also think that when you look at it, all the athletes put in relatively the same amount of work. Everyone goes to practice for the same amount of time. They lift the same amount of weights. You know, maybe not the same.
Not the same amount of weights.
Maybe not the same poundage, but you know.
Time-wise.
Yeah, time-wise.
How much do you lift?
We're not going to get into that.
No,
I don't
me
think,
neither.
Yeah,
Me
I don't
neither.
think we want to know about that. But I think the thing about that, it would be fair, but it is hard from a business standpoint to allocate the money. But I also think it's interesting because I feel like with a lot of people wanting to pay the athletes, it's kind of devaluing the scholarship and the education. Because I mean, for here, you know, especially for a lot of athletes who are out of state, that's an expensive scholarship.
Oh, it is. And the value of the lifetime of the college degree,
Is
high
even
quality, is worth way more than anything they're going to get paid.
Yeah.
And so I agree with you that by allowing a beverage maker or a shoe company to provide a lot of money to a very small number of athletes kind of devalues the benefit of the education. That's really where the value is.
That's what I was thinking. Well, now also another key part of this is using college athletes' name, image, and likeness. And for years, you know, no one's really cared about that, and it's been seen as, you know, more just nice publicity. More publicity for the school, you're representing the school. Do you think that instead of paying an athlete, the school just paying anyone on the football team or anyone on the basketball team, do you think specific players should be able to market themselves as professional athletes do? Like, say when Jadeveon Clowney was there, do you think he should be allowed to market himself to Nike, to Under Armour?
No, I don't. I don't. Not while he's a student, you know. And I think, and again, let me go back and say that we have an alumni magazine. We put pictures of students on the cover or inside the magazine. They don't ask us for money. We don't pay them for that because they're providing a service, if you will, to their university. Yeah. And it's kind of fun as well. Hey, see my you know, my name, image, and likeness on a university magazine. I think that's what it's all about.
Yeah, I think the excitement has a lot. The excitement, people are not having that same excitement for having their name used. And personally, I like that. You know. Yeah. I like to represent my school. Now I want to change topics here. Now, you are an independent director of Synovus Financial, centered in, was it Columbus, Georgia?
Columbus, Georgia.
So, can you talk about your role there a little bit?
Well, as a member of a bank board, and by the way, some people might think that's odd. What do I know about banking? But the point is, I know something about higher education, and so the stockholders who voted me in said he's the right kind of person to bring some diversity, professional diversity, to the bank board. But what's in it for me, frankly, is being able to rub elbows with people who know about the big world, the bigger world of finance. People who I can call on for advice occasionally, or people who could introduce me to other people for whom the university might benefit by coming into their sphere of influence, or, you know, for advice and consultation.
Yeah, I think that's great.
So it's very eye-opening, and it's a great opportunity for USC to come into contact with important people from all over the country.
I was thinking when I first found that out, I was like, wow, it's interesting because you don't see a lot of universities being tied with financial banks, financial companies anymore, not like it was back in, you know, a long time ago when a lot of schools were. But I think it's a very interesting tie. Now, I want to ask you, because you get a very interesting perspective from working there. By working with Synovus, what do you hope to bring? You talked about, you know, the ties and everything, but now your role there, what do you hope to bring to you leading a state university? Because it's different.
Sure.
Last time you were on the show, we talked about state versus private and stuff like that. How do you think that'll help you as being a president of a state university?
Well, sure. Let me give you 3 examples, quick. I think your listeners will understand. The first would be in the area of cybersecurity. So, you know, that's a huge problem for our state university, keeping your records private and confidential. And so banks, as you might imagine, because of the instances of wire fraud and people who try to, you know, steal money online, I've learned a great amount about what can be done to secure people's confidential records. And I'm going to bring some of that knowledge over to helping our own IT security systems do a better job. That's first. Number 2, customer service. You know, universities often, you know, they just put their image on the web and students come and some decide to matriculate and others don't and whatever. But, you know, I've learned how important it is to provide outstanding customer service. Little things like when people make a phone call, there's somebody there to answer it. So I've taken a more customer-friendly orientation to how the university does its own business. And then third, the world of where interest rates are going, and should the university think of borrowing more money now or more in the future or less depending on where the markets might be going. That's information that I wouldn't have known about had I not participated in the board.
Wow, that's going to be very helpful for the school. You know, I think that's one of the things that a lot of other schools on our level are probably going to be missing out on, type of thing that'll propel our school into the next level. And now I want to wrap this up with one other question, another topic. So recently there's been a few racial instances in South Carolina, also one occurring here at school, with a racial slur being written in one of the school buildings. Now, I don't want to talk about the event that much, but I want to ask you, really, what do you think the racial climate is on USC's campus? Because I feel like people outside the school, and you and me are in contact with a lot of people from outside the state, so I feel like a lot of people are going to be get the wrong idea of South Carolina, of, you know, especially with what's been going on in Charleston. So I want to talk to you about that. And also, there was a rather large forum in the Russell House the other day, or a few days ago, with students and people connected to the school addressing the racial problem. So I want to ask you, what's your ideas about this? Well,
first of all, I think we have a very healthy climate generally, but we can always be better.
Yeah.
We're a microcosm of society, so we're based in Columbia, which has a racial climate, whatever it is, in South Carolina, which has a history and a racial climate, and then, of course, the greater world. So when the event happened that you referred to, I was very saddened.
Yeah.
Extremely saddened personally. First as a member of the community, not necessarily as president.
Yeah.
And was very, very saddened by it. And subsequently, many students and others I've spoken with. Yesterday I had my student advisory council. We ate pizza, about 20, 25 students talked about that issue alone. Everyone was saddened by it. And I think we came to the conclusion that it's not about how bad USC is. It's really, though, that we need to continue to educate about diversity and intermingle more, because the more I think you get to know people from different backgrounds, whether they're ethnic, racial, religious, international, the more open and tolerant you'll be of those people. So we're going to look at how we could do a better job, not only with students, but with faculty and staff as well.
I think that'd be great, because it's not, you're not coming to USC and kids are not getting these ideas. You know, it's really, they're bringing it from where they've come from their background. So, and this is just where it's culminating. And Columbia has a very interesting, I guess it's a very interesting place because it's a, center of a major university. So universities tend to be less of a hotbed for racial problems in that respect. But on the flip side, it's also a place where people speak their ideas. And this is also a place where there's a lot of history of people speaking their ideas. So I think that's going to be very interesting. But I hope to see, making more progress, because it's been an interesting time. But so I just want to thank you for another great interview. I mean, we've covered a lot of great things.
Well, come back and see me from time to time.
Oh, I will.
You
for sure.
have a great way of making people feel comfortable, and so come back anytime, and I'll update you on what's going on at the university.
Thank you. I appreciate another great interview. We're always happy to have you on. You're welcome anytime you want to come on. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much.